Hello, everyone. We're back again with our workplace series here. It's Trace Face It and Narc Con, and we're happy to be here. And I'm going to sort of facilitate this one, Paula, if that's cool with you, because I know you've got a lot of stuff to bring to the table on this one. And this is when you guys are managers, and you have to, unfortunately, manage a narcissist employee who, as we know, I mean, when you guys think about a narcissist and you think about all their traits, and now you have to manage these people resist authority. They resist change, right, Paula? So
Yep.
this is going to be difficult, and I've been there, you've been there, and I'd like to weigh in with you on your experience with this, Paula. For those of you that have not seen, or maybe you're new to the channel, please check out Narc Con, NARCCON. That is Paula's channel here, that you should definitely check out and watch her videos, because they've helped me tremendously, and they've helped so many people in this community. You just speak so eloquently, and you know what you're talking about, and that's what you're, a down-to-earth person that gets this stuff, Paula, and people can see that about you. You're very authentic and genuine, and I've got cat fur all around me. I'm doing this.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's time for vacuuming today. With 3 cats, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paula, maybe you could start by telling us, how do you know that you have these people underneath you as employees, when your responsibility is to manage all of them? And how sort of do you put 2 and 2 together, that I think I got a narc on my hands, or narcs plural on my hands right now?
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for that really nice welcome, Trace. I've been a big fan of yours for a very long time. This will be a mutual admiration society, but you really helped me so much. So thanks a million.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So how do you know you've a narcissist employee? It's kind of, it creeps up on you, I think, from my own personal experience. It starts off, it's so relatable to the romantic relationship with the narcissist, because it really starts off great with them. In fact, I'd say it's too good to be true. And when you're saying that to yourself, listen to yourself, because it is too good to be true. So this was my experience. They'll come into the workplace and they will be the best employee you've probably ever put through your hands. That was my experience.
Yes.
Believe how so supportive they are. They'll do anything you ask. They'll make suggestions. They'll do overtime. And they'll really win you over. And what they're trying to do at this stage is the love bomb. And it is trying to make you dependent on them. And what I have found in my experience is they will try to be your number one man or woman. And they will actually go against other workers in the workplace to diminish them in the boss's eyes. And even if a new person comes in, or other people that have been there, will make the other people's lives so bad that those people will leave.
Yeah.
And then you're more dependent on them. And again, it mirrors the romantic relationship.
Yes. You're dealing with a very highly calculating, manipulative person when you've got one of these underneath you, and your responsibility is to manage them. You're now, yes, you just described that to a T. And it can be 2 different scenarios, right? This has happened to me, where all of a sudden you get promoted as manager, and these people at one point were your coworkers, or you're coming on in brand new as their manager, and these people are already looking at you like, I want to be able to do what I was doing before and get away with things, and I have to play this game so that I can do that.
Yeah. Or, you know, a third scenario, you've been managing and it's going great. You've got a great team around you. And then this poisonous individual comes in as sweet as pie. So yeah, there's a few different scenarios that can arise there. But then they're basically envious, jealous, very over ambitious, and they've got all that kind of bad mix going on. So you'll notice things beginning to change. The energy in the place will begin to change. Things will start to go wrong that haven't, you know, gone wrong before. You won't be able to get to the root cause of it until slowly it begins to dawn. If you get more information in, maybe from other, you know, other employees saying things, and people keep saying things to you, you know, and you begins to add up in your mind, and it stays at the back of your mind. And then what I would call again the devaluation phase comes in, and the narcissist will start to, you know, you'll give them instructions or whatever as to what you want done that day, and they'll do the exact opposite of what you said. Yeah. It's ringing some bells. Yeah, ding dong.
I'm getting itchy thinking about it.
Yeah. And then, Trace, how about this? They will come to you. You will say, oh, you know, that's not actually what I meant. I meant, you know, for you to do this. And they'll go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And you'll be going, hey, that's a bit of an overreaction, you know, and there'll be, particularly if there's other people there.
Yeah. And
you'll begin to feel like you're the big bad wolf or even a bully.
Yes.
Going, no, it's okay. It's okay. So then they kind of go into the victim role, and they will like other people to be witnessing this.
Yep.
And you'll be going, this is torture, because you know that they know that you know what they're doing, and they're doing it very convincingly, like as if you're giving them a really hard time, and they're just doing their really best to please you, and you can't be pleased.
Yes, they set you up. Yeah. They set you up, and their whole thing is to bring about this confusion, because if they got you confused and you going home scratching your head saying, gee, was I direct about that? Or maybe it's me. That's what the whole purpose is, so that they can get what they want out of the situation, which is to do less work, which is to maybe get your job. But, you know, ultimately, in the instance of all that, they're going to still bring down the office with this behavior, right? They're going to bring down the work environment.
You're going to notice, as we said in the last videos, you're going to notice people looking at you sideways. You're going to notice a lot of arguments going on in the office or wherever you're working, the shop floor. You're going to notice kind of people going off in little groups. It's just, it's really, the best way to describe it is, it's as if evil seeps in. And I'm not just saying that lightly, it's disgusting.
Yep. It's
disgusting what they're doing. They're trying to undermine you. If they want your job in particular, they will talk about you behind your back. Mm-hmm. They will pit people against you. They will pit your boss against you. They will steal from you. They'll set you up. They'll actually set you up for failure. And this is one thing that actually happened to me when I was actually off, and the narcissist kind of took charge. They kind of take charge, like as if they act like you. They copy you, like in school when someone might have copied you, like worn the same dress. They take on your character and your characteristics. And you can hear this, and it's a really weird thing to see someone else acting you know, on the in
creepy.
The workplace. Creepy.
You're
going, hey, you know, that's exactly what I do, and it's really creepy.
Yeah.
But what they'll do is they'll pretend, supposing you've set things up nicely, it's your day off, and you've set things up so that it'll go, you know, everything's in place. And maybe someone will ring from head office for the information that you've laid out for the narcissist to give. And they'll say, oh gosh, sorry, she's left nothing here, and I don't really know. I've been doing this on my own. They'll just lie. They will lie.
Straightforward lie. Yes. Straight up lie. Yes. 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 I went through this. I can remember this on so many occasions, like the same thing you're describing, the same thing. Oh, I I set up the turkey drive-through for the community because and when I was there all day, and Tracy was in her office. Yeah, Tracy was dealing with the phone calls, with the setting up for the next day, with this, that, the other thing, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, she wasn't present, she wasn't here."
Yeah.
When I set it up that way so that I could take care of everything else back in the, back upstairs, and they were all downstairs. I had everything. Oh yeah. They'll take credit for that. They'll say that anything they can think of to make it look like you're the delinquent.
Yeah. You're incompetent.
Yeah.
You don't care. You haven't given proper instructions. There's something wrong with you. You must be going through something. It's a total misrepresentation of you, and it's to discredit the boss in everybody's eyes. So that if something does actually happen, if the boss does make a mistake, that can be capitalized on because the background has been set for people to believe, that you're having a breakdown or something, or that you don't care, or that you're crooked,
Yes.
that you're corrupt, or
Yes. Yes. I feel like with these people, I can already tell that you're a fair manager, you're a fair boss. It's like with these people, the more competent you are, the more fair, the more great of a boss you are, the worse they are. It like sets them into like a frenzy.
Absolutely. And actually, like, narcissists always see fairness and kindness as weakness.
Yes.
They just think, oh, what an idiot I have here. I have a right fool here. Have that clue. And then they see that as a kind of a way in, and they don't like it either because they don't believe in good. I don't believe that they believe in good or fair. They think, that you have an agenda because you're being nice and fair.
Yeah, they think you're a phony. And right away it's the same thing we were talking about last week. They're always they'll keep the gaze going. They're staring at you. They've got the smile on their face, and they're studying you, and they're looking for the loopholes. They're looking for what's wrong with her. There's got to be something wrong with her.
Yeah. What's the weakness, or what can I play on?
Yeah,
definitely. So how do you manage them? They're the most difficult people in the world to manage, which you said, in a work situation, because they're resistant to being managed.
Yes. And they cannot stand having to have anything to do with any type of authority, let alone in the workplace. So as you were saying earlier, if you tell them to go do A and B, they're going to do C and D just because you needed A and B done. So they're purposefully now going to go do things that don't even need to be done, things you didn't ask them to do. And then they're going to play this role of like, I had no idea. You made it sound as though I had to do, C and D or whatever. And so the thing of it is with these people, I think in the beginning, I don't know what you think, Paula, but once you see this kind of thing happening, you right away have to set them up with like 30-day goals. We're going to meet every 30 days. I'm going to start, just so everyone's clear. I'm going to, if I give you directions, I'm going to follow that up in an email, and you let them know off the get-go, oh, what you were getting away with, it's not going to happen anymore. And you hold it. You have to hold them accountable. And that way there's a paper trail on them that you can present that they're doing this, because otherwise they're going to run circles around you. And they're going to be like, no, when she called me, she said this. And it's sort of the same thing you're going to deal with if you have one as a boss, but now you over them. I think you can really, you can use this as experience now, even in personal relationships, of you have to hold them accountable, and they hate that. So they're either going to leave, or they're just, as they're there, they're always causing trouble. They're going to continue to cause trouble and ruckus in the office until people realize they're the cancer in this place that's creating all this trouble, right?
Yeah, if they haven't gotten people to leave because of their actions, and even gotten you into a state where you just want to leave and give up. So if you, education and awareness about them in the workplace is essential, and I think it's coming into more workplaces. But I was thinking, Trace, just before we came on, like, well, what would you say to people in relation to how to manage a narcissist? And just what you said about the documentation is again crucial. What they're banking on is you falling into their trap and acting in an emotional way and getting upset about their antics and their games, so that you look like you're losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the main thing is to not personalize it and not get emotional about it. You have to just say to yourself, I accept that I have a narcissist working here as an employee, and I need to deal with this. So you need to show no emotion and no personalization, because that's what they're looking to hang you on. I guess you have to document, and it's a pain. It's a pain and it's a stress, but
yeah,
you have a cancer in, so you need to give it chemotherapy, basically.
yes.
And you need to have your sessions. You need to, what you said, set goals and hold them accountable. Have it down in writing. It's great if you're working with a place that has a HR department that they can work in conjunction with you.
Yeah, if they're legitimate.
Yeah, if the narcissist has
legit
already complained about you, maybe bullying them or something.
Yeah,
that's the other way they go. So you need to write down, what you instructed them to do and what they actually did with that instruction. You need to not react to them in any kind of way emotionally. And I would say, if you are giving them an instruction, try and do it when there's other people around, so you have some kind of, witnesses to that.
Yes, I have them sign off on things, have them always put a signature on, okay, we agree that you have to work on these things. They're going to try to dodge any type of responsibilities. They're also notorious for they're very careless. They're careless people. They're irresponsible people. They're lazy people. They don't want to do work. So they're going to make excuses as to why they didn't get, they're notorious for excuses, notorious for it. And they love to throw in things like, they love to tell you about what's going on in their personal life a lot of times, so that they can play on your heartstrings, so that you can be like, oh, well, Becky's going through all this stuff, and I feel so bad that she has to come in here and have all these responsibilities. And so you have to almost sort of be cold with them, and not let them see that you feel sorry for them, or that, because they're always going to have an excuse.
Yeah, they're con artists. They're working angles. So, if they can get your sympathy, if that works, they'll go in there. If they can't get your sympathy, they'll try something else to get you annoyed about something. Whatever way they can see they're having an effect on you to their benefit, they will use that manipulation tactic. So mirrors the romantic relationship, but it's dangerous in a work situation, because they can really set you up if you're not careful. So it's your job like at stake. And if that's what they're after.
Their job while they're there is to think about what they're going to do next. Imagine, I know I was talking to you the other day, and we were saying, like, imagine if these people actually put their efforts towards good things, like towards actually coming in the office and getting work done, or towards being passionate about the work they're doing. What would actually, what could happen in this world? Imagine putting all that time and effort into, as you're on your lunch break, what can I do this afternoon that's really going to flip this place around? Like,
I know. I mean, it has to come from a bad spirit, because it's just unbelievable the amount of energy that goes into destroying things.
Yes. My father was an employer for his entire life. He did all the hiring and firing. He was a plant manager for a factory. He's still there. He hasn't retired yet. I bet you he never will. He's cut down on his hours, but he's a workaholic. So anyway, I remember him telling me one day when I was getting into managing, and he was like, just remember, Tracy, anytime that someone gets fired or leaves, he said, that's on you. You have to remember that. He said, that's, how did he say it? That's something you have to take a look at as well. Like you played a responsibility in that. And I appreciated that he said it to me that way, because it never made me feel like, well, I'm the boss and you're down here and that's just the way it is. And whatever I say goes. Like, he kind of taught me that, like, yeah, that's how he said it. He said, you failed too. You failed too if somebody So I don't know now that I agree with that, but this is years ago. He said this to me. And I did take that to heart anytime that would happen. And I guess what it did though, what I'm trying to say, Paula, is it did get me to look at, was there anything I could have done to keep this person here? Did I learn from this? Would I have done that the same? Would I change things up if this happens again? But when it comes to a narcissist, you can't even take that statement that he gave me and use that in a good, healthy manner while you're trying to think about your role in a place, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because look, I mean, normal people are people of empathy, will give people chances.
Yeah.
So, after giving maybe the first or second chance, whether a person is genuinely sorry, because they show it by their actions, don't they?
Yes.
Chances to narcissists are just part of, the early stages of the game.
Yes.
They will up their game.
Yes.
Until you really cop on that what you're dealing with is not someone who's genuine at all.
I also think, I think in general, when people come into a new environment, a new work environment, or dynamics change, a new person comes in to manage them, or there's new employees all of a sudden around them. I think everybody, don't you think for the most part, just tries to see almost what the boundaries are going to be, even if they're a narcissist or not. People are checking temperatures. People are checking the office do's and don'ts. People are seeing what's the day-to-day things around here. What can I get away with? Because let's face it, most people are stuck in 9-to-5 jobs that they are there for paychecks. And now some people are there because they're there for the right reasons and they actually like to go to work, but it's very rare. If you ask anybody, would you rather work from home or would you rather do this or that? People would say, yeah, I would, but I'm here. I need to feed my family. So I think in general, people do this, right? But the difference between people just kind of sort of seeing what they can get away with and a narcissist is they're never stopping this. I mean, the thing is, they're going to dig their own grave, right? You can sit there with them and say, we're going to meet every 30 days and see if you reached your goals. We're going to set this up for you. And it doesn't mean that you micromanage, because as you and I were talking, that doesn't work. Okay. That sends everybody out the door. But it's this piece of holding them accountable, which they hate it. They hate it. So they're going to set themselves up. They're going to set themselves up for failure. It's going to happen. I mean, I don't know in your experience, if you've seen that or how long they end up lasting, but I feel like it's just a matter of time before they if you're doing everything right, they're going to leave because they realize I don't have any wiggle room here. Right?
Wiggle room is a good way to put it. Yeah. They usually over time, people do cop on, or they will trip themselves up. That's what you're saying, Trace. They will, because they're very clever, they're very manipulative, but they're so entitled that they overstep the mark. They kind of feel that they can get away with anything. And they do burn the bridges. They do kind of make the mistake that you can pin them on, but you have to do it in such a methodical way and such a non-emotional way. And you have to become really cold and really, factual and not who you want to be. But that's the only way, in my opinion, you can deal with these people.
Yes. I say to anyone that's watching this, let's say you're in the customer service or sales, they are going to have bad rapport with customers. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. And if you're really trying to build a case because they've got this show that they're putting on in the workplace, or even if it's a sales position, and they can create problems from working from home. They can create problems. Doesn't have to be within like an environment that they get to go cubicle to cubicle. They can create a bunch of damage just by not doing any work and pretending they do. But I suggest that you guys do quality assurance checks. You're constantly asking customers, how was your experience with this person? So that way there you can see what's happening, because they're going to tell on themselves by their behavior. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. They can only hold it. They can only put the act on for so long. Yeah, you need to have evidence. You need what you said, you need to do that. You need to have your quality checks if you can do that. And hopefully you don't have a narcissistic boss.
Yeah.
If you do have someone over you that is like that, they'll get in co with them against you. But there are things you can do to protect yourself and your situation and make it no wiggle room for them, make it as difficult as possible for them to play their games. Do you know another thing I was thinking, as we were coming on, if someone is interviewing people, how do you tell if you're interviewing people that you might be interviewing a narcissist?
Oh, that's a good one, right? I see you got to prepare some really good questions on that interview. I mean, some of my favorite questions, believe it or not, we're asking them more about themselves. Like, so, what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies and interests? I used to like to ask them to, have you ever had difficulty before with a manager in the past? And could you explain what that looked like for me? Or how do you prefer to be managed? What is your what type of things do you need for support when somebody's managing you? And these sorts of questions, I think, might kind of get you into their personality. Now, of course, we all know we've all been duped by the narcissist, and they're going to sit there and they're going to tell you everything you want to hear. But I would think maybe going into my my video on body language, because their body language always gives them away. I feel like now I really look at their eye contact, how much they're paying attention in the interview, or if they're just kind of like, you can tell they're not engaged at all by their body language, but they're just there to like put on a show. And I don't know. I feel now like if I was to go back again and manage, I don't know. I mean, maybe I would be all wrong, but this is a tough one, because like, as I said, they really can put on that they are going to be your top-notch employee. And like you said, they could follow that out for several months, even years, thinking, I got a good employee here. And all the while they're setting you up, they're creating drama, trouble, they're harmful to the clients. They're doing all sorts of things under your nose you don't even know until all of a sudden you do. And at which point you have to start this paper trail on them. You have to show exactly what it is that you're hearing about and doing. I always say this too, Paul. I don't know about you, but don't take things at face value. Sometimes customers lie. Sometimes other employees are jealous because that person is doing very well. So you almost, I don't know. I feel like as a manager, it's almost like you have to be an investigator all the time. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, especially with the complaint process. The way I usually handle that personally would be over a time period, because you're always going to get, if you're in the public sector, you're always going to get the public complaining. So I kind of look on it statistically over time. If there's a huge amount of complaints about one person, and what was the complaint about? Was it because the customer couldn't get their way over a price or something? Or if there's a consistency to the complaints in relation to the person's attitude, then you can kind of figure it out, can't you?
Yeah.
You have to do it every time.
I'll tell you what, anybody watching this video, including you, Paula, I give props to anybody out there in this day and age that can manage. I think is one of the most challenging experiences you're ever going to have in life, because you have to off the bat deal with so many different personalities, right? And now you're sitting in a meeting with all these personalities, and everybody seems to be everybody needs different things. Like how you would manage one person, I feel like is not how you would manage this person. And if you're a good manager, you're not going to be like grade school teacher, like, no, this is 6 hours a day, this is how we do it. Like, you're going to try to see what the individual needs and what's going to help them, and work around that. And it's not easy.
It's not. And Trace, I don't know if you found this, but I found having a narcissist in the woodpile was really, not only did it make it difficult to manage the narcissist, but it made it difficult to do your job in managing other people. Because what you said, you know, the customized approach to people, because everyone's needs are different. So every institution or whatever has a set of rules. And so how can I say this in the right way? So without breaking the rules, sometimes you need to bend the rules a little bit towards facilitating an unusual situation where there's extenuating circumstances. If you have a narcissist watching you, that's down in their notebook for, and she did this, you know, she didn't keep the rules, she did this, like, and it's, you know what I'm
Yes.
say? So you're using the rules are there as a general guide, and you have to work around, you know, situations as a manager. So the narcissist, if you even go a percentage off the playbook, they have you, you know, they're going to use that against you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's sick. It's a sick, like I said, managing to begin with is challenging. And now when you have these narcissists underneath you, if you have more than one, God bless you, because it's horrific. It's horrendous. And as you said, they gather together. They're pack hunters. They're going to find the same frequency of people in the office, and they're going to use that to try to create trouble and drama and chaos. And sometimes they're just doing it for sheer entertainment. I mean, not only to like play these games to keep their job, but just to sit back and watch, you know, the ship go down. And as you said, they'll go above you. They'll pull. They're sneaky people. They're very sneaky people. You got to sneak in the office. And you have to understand that you can't trust them. You can't trust them at all. They have no qualms, no problems whatsoever being unethical. These are the people you wouldn't even know are doing things. They're lying on documentation that is you know, it's illegal to do. They'll do it. They'll forge signatures. They'll do whatever.
Oh, yes, they will. They will. I can't say any more, but yes, you've really hit the nail on the head there in a situation I'm in at the moment. Yes, they will. They're bad. They're bad. They will lie, they will steal, they will get into fraud. They love the chaos. It actually entertains them. It's, what else can you say except evil? I mean, what is evil if it's not that? You know, it's causing wanton destruction, upsetting so many people.
Yeah.
They're enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, the ones that I did have working underneath me, when the day came that I had to tell them this is their last day, there would be this feeling of me like, that is what you get. Like, there, it was like a relief, you know. And they would go out there screaming and crying and taking fits, or you know, it's funny when they finally, like, the jig is up, it's there, you're done, we're done with you. It's like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, how dare you not allow me to be a narcissist in here?
I mean, do you think that there's narcissist language and the how dare you? Have you heard that with narcissists so many times? How dare you? how dare you? How
Yep.
dare you? You know, it's like,
This is your fault.
yeah.
Yeah, you did this. You wanted me out of here from the beginning. No, it's like there's no point in arguing with these people. You just let them have their say as they're kicking and screaming out the door.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bye. Bye. And you feel for the next place of employment they're going to, like, you feel for those people, like, what's coming. It's like, you wish you could have a warning on these people, and now they've changed the laws. I don't know about in Ireland, but they've changed the laws in America where, like, you have to watch what you say on the phone about someone, because that could be used against you in a court of law. And some people don't care, and they'll be honest with other employers and say, you don't want this person, and I, but it's a legal battle. If you really have to watch how you say it. And I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I think just same for you, Paula. You probably always were told since you were a kid you had leadership skills, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's worse, it's like we have like the recipe for disaster. We have leadership skills and we're an empath.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a narcissist plaything. It's like we're like a doll. You could pull the string out of the back and the doll would talk. That's what we're like to a narcissist, unless we're educated.
We're an awoke empath manager, correct? Yeah. It's hard. I say to anybody watching this too, you really, before you go into management, you have to really ask yourself, do you know who you are? And do you know your boundaries, and what are they? Because you're going to have to be putting, as hard as it is to look someone dead in the eye and be like, we're not doing that here. This is not how it's going to be. And you're not allowed to, we're not doing that. Yeah. And if that happens again, A, B, C, D is going to happen. And that's the end of it. I mean, you have to be really strong in knowing who you are and knowing, this is my line in the sand. It's like the relation. It's like an intimate relationship. You can't go into an intimate relationship now, having been educated about narcissistic abuse and thinking that, I can be a little sloppy and bend here and there. As you were saying, some people that are not narcissists, they're going to need some help from time to time. Life does happen. We all know this. Things happen in life that are unpredictable. They're going to be asking for time off. It's going to be chaotic. You have to find someone to do their schedule and work with and it goes like this. You know how it goes. One day you got everything together. The next day, 3 people are out and you're trying to figure this out. It's challenging. Yeah. So I say that you have to just know your ultimate goal in there. And if you don't have the support above you that is going to help you do your job, oh, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And the other thing, Trace, is, if you're going into a job as a manager, you're not there to be liked. I mean, you're not there to be disliked either, but if you're looking for friends in that position, and you're looking for people to like you, you're on a highway to nowhere, because, unfortunately, if there's a narcissist in the back.
100%. If you're a people pleaser, do not take a management position. And I think when I started, I was a people pleaser. I just wanted everybody to be happy and to like me and all of that. And that does not work. As a matter of fact, that's going to be to your demise, to your detriment. It's going to be a lot harder if you're worrying about what people think of you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. As you said, you have to know yourself, and to know that when you make strict decisions or hard decisions, that it's not about who you are. It's just that you're just doing your job. You have to disassociate to a certain extent your personality from the role that you have to.
Yeah. Did you ever take, I'm curious to know, I took a lot of management trainings, and I remember there was one about all the different personalities you're going to see within a workplace environment. Like, you've got the passive aggressive one over here. You got the one that's always raising their hand in the meeting because they just want to hear themselves talk. You have the one that's like not paying attention, and you're like, Jess, did you hear that? Huh? And I remember like learning, and it made me laugh because I was like, that's really, am I right? Like all those personalities exist. You got the one that's talking over everyone. That's the interrupter. That's probably the one that wants to hear themselves talk all the time. You got and it's funny when you're facilitating a meeting, that's literally, it's like you're managing, you have to even manage a meeting, how a meeting happens.
Yeah. See, I think in the workplace, people kind of, if there's a structure, it's like a bit like school, and if you're the manager, you kind of become a bit like the teacher in certain settings. If people aren't of a certain education or level or of maturity, it kind of reverts back into that kind of classroom mentality. And
Yeah.
you're literally, you've got the attention seeker in the class, and you've got the one that's not going to cooperate.
Yeah.
Or the attention deficient, and it's
Oh yeah.
it's
And then if you got the narc boss ahead of on top of you, you're in a nightmare. I can remember, I'll give you guys an example. I'll never forget this as long as I shall live. How did this happen now? My director had moved to Iowa. Now I'm in Connecticut, or at the time Rhode Island. I was working out of Rhode Island, living out of Rhode Island, working out of Rhode Island. It's right next to Connecticut. Anyway, she moved to Iowa thinking she was still going to be our director. Why? Because our directors are all from New Hampshire. They were all up north. And we had our regional director that was above her was in New Hampshire, and he came down to Rhode Island, and he was asking all the employees, who would you want to see in here be your manager? And everybody said Tracy. So he comes to me and he said, they all want to see you managing here. He's like, but we have to go through an entire training this summer. And he goes, but before we even get into that, he goes, this is your objective. I don't want to see one client leave here the entire summer. If you can make that happen, I will promote you to director. I said, challenge accepted. I said, but now you're going to have to let me run Job Club. This was something I had said years ago to him. We needed this Job Club that people experiencing a cognitive and cognitive disabilities needs, some of our mild MR clients and such need to come to feel like they can talk to one another about how hard it is to find a job. And we come up with ideas that, a whole type of thing I'm putting together for them to come to. We're going off, we're pairing with each other, we're applying to jobs, we're having a good time. This is a place that they go once a week. I said, you told me that wouldn't work years ago. I said, so let me implement that. He said, fine. I don't care what you do. We can't have any clients leaving here. I said, fine. Lo and behold, not only that summer did nobody leave, but the 30-something clients that didn't have jobs beforehand had jobs by the end of the summer. And I had my team helping me with this. It was a great idea. So to make a long story short, the reason I stayed with this job was because they used to allow me to take all my vacation time at one time so that my brother and I could go tour. And so I would take a month's worth of vacation time and leave. Somebody else would help me with my caseload and I would leave. And so this director, who I hardly knew, had been there. I think he was at this point considered the vice president there. I don't even know his title. Never saw him, never was in Rhode Island. All of a sudden calls me up. Scott's going to be doing this. I'm coming in and I'm going to be your new director. Okay. So he spends one day with me out in the field to, having me see what I'm doing there, how I'm running things. He says, one of the first things he says to me is, well, most of our directors don't go on tour with their band and leave for a month. And I said to him, well, most of your directors, don't know how to run an office, maybe. I said, and I do. I was very confident. I said, I know what to do when I leave, and it's worked before and it can work again. Anyway, I remember right before I left for tour, he already had an opinion of me with my bleached blonde hair and, being in a band. He wanted someone that lived, eat, ate, breathed the place. And already he had an opinion that I can't do both. I can't live my dream and work for you guys and do a good job at it. So I already had that in mind. I stayed up. I can't even tell you, Paul, my brother and I were leaving early in the morning. I stayed up. I pulled an all-nighter to make these folders for everybody in the office that literally had their case notes, the paperwork and documentation they needed, the background on all of their clients, a place where everything was for all of them, which I kept thinking, having been there for, I think at that point, maybe it had been 5 years, I saw this is what's needed. Everybody needs to have a place to keep everything together. So it's making their job easier. And I remember he was on the phone and he was on the phone. We had him on the, the speaker phone while we're having our meeting. Then it was that next morning. And I think I was leaving the very next day. Anyway, I'm giving everybody their folders that I made, and they're all going, Trace, this is amazing. Oh my goodness, like, thank you so much. They were all, he goes, what's that? What are you doing there? What are you handing out to everybody? And I said, well, I put these folders together for everybody to have a place to have all of their things. And I was just staying up all night to get this done for them because I know it's needed. We get off that phone call and everybody's ranting and raving. We get off the phone call. He calls me and he says, don't ever do that again. I said, do what again? I said, I'm not expensing this. I paid for all the materials. I don't care. I printed out everything from my house. I didn't even use the work printer. I'm not asking for any money. I just don't ever do that again without asking me. And I said, and that's when I knew what I was dealing with. And I said, but you just heard them all in there. Everybody needs to have, everyone is organized differently. And that's not going to work. And you're going to find that out. Guess what? 2 or 3 years after that, guess who was implementing that everybody had their folder on them every time he came into the office? That I implemented.
Yeah.
It's like, and he undermined me in front of everybody because they all saw my face when I came out of the back room and was just like, I was floored. And I'm thinking, did I do something wrong? Because they get you thinking that,
Yeah. And he was threatened because you were getting attention. You came up with a better idea. And by you being the topper dog, so to speak, that was putting him in the inferior position, threatened very fragile ego and narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then took your idea on board as his. Yeah. So, oh, my chair has just gone, woo. Sorry. I don't know how this is.
You're taking off into New York City.
I'm getting back to Ireland.
Yeah. But when you don't have that support from above you, you're destined to, it's just like, if you don't have that above you and you don't have it below you, it's going to be hell.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly, to do with a narcissist who's working under you, you sure do need some support from above. You're in a terrible sandwich if the narcissist is above you and below you. It's a dreadful situation, and I think the only way out of it is to leave in that circumstance. I know that sounds very kind of what would you say, like you're running away, but sometimes if you're in that situation, it's too much head stress and destruction in other ways. And when you were telling me that story, Trace, I remember getting advice when I had a narcissist above me as a boss, getting advice from a guy who was the nicest guy. He was working with me as a volunteer, and he was so streetwise, but he was a real nice guy, good guy. Mm-hmm. He said to me, oh, Paula, because something like that happened with me, he said, if only I'd known, I have your man's measure. He said, my boss's measure. If only I'd known you were going to do this, I would have told you, you become like robotic with a narcissist boss. You don't come up with ideas, unless you want to give them to them. You just do everything they want you to do, and you don't have a personality and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Don't use your
Yep.
initiative. Your initiative is a threat.
Yes. Yes. It's like, that's just it. If you have one of these as your boss, don't expect to be creative. Don't expect it to come up with anything. It will be stolen from you. You will be undermined for it. You're going to be made a fool of. They love to do that too. Narcissistic boss will try to make you look like a fool in front of your own employees.
Yeah.
It's a power trip to these people, and then, you know, like I said in the last videos, if you've got one at the top, it's crap trickles down, and you're going to see it throughout the entire place. That's just the unfortunate truth. You got a narcissist business owner or a narcissist boss, you're going to find that they're going to look for people that are just like them to be running the majority of the operations, day-to-day operations.
Yeah, because they understand each other. They respect each other because they know what they're dealing with. With an empath, they're threatened by an empathic person because they know deep down they narcissists feel inferior, and they just can't face that, and they see you coming up with your ideas, and that's just not a good look for them.
Yes. And they like we were saying before, they get into these positions, they're so far removed from what goes on day to day that they come up with these ideas that aren't even that don't even make sense.
Yeah, definitely. And they'll run with them no matter how much money they're wasting, or it's just unbelievable.
Because it was their idea. And they don't care about the clients. They don't care about the populations you happen to be working with. They don't care. And it's so obvious. They don't even, it's so funny when they would come down and actually have to deal with clients. They were so uncomfortable around the clients. Like you could see, like, why are you even here? And it was the money. It's the money. You know, the state and federal money, there's a lot to be handed out. And these private agencies would get a lot and do a lot of crooked stuff to get that money. And you could just, it's yeah. Could go on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Well, Paula, do you think that we sort of mapped it out of what you're going to be dealing with when you have these people underneath you and what you should do?
Yeah, I think we did, and I think your advice about interviewing them so that you can maybe avoid it initially getting them in was great. The other thing I'd say is you said body language, and to ask them searching questions. They can even get by that if they're practiced enough, especially the older ones. And the other thing I would say would just be to use your gut in an interview and trust your gut. If you kind of think something I can't put my finger on about this person, then don't put your finger on that person. Just go to the other person that you kind of put you.
Back in the day, we would say job jumpers were red flags, people that didn't stay at jobs for too long. I don't know now necessarily. I wouldn't know now necessarily that that's always true, because I think there has been a movement, I want to say since the pandemic, especially, where people are tired of this. People are tired of being treated terribly, and people have no qualms now about sticking up for themselves because they're getting educated about narcissism and things of this nature. And I feel like people, if they're recognizing I'm in an unhealthy situation, I'm getting out. I'm not staying here. So that doesn't always, I don't feel, necessarily mean that somebody is necessarily a bad candidate, but it could. And you do need to look at that commitment, their passions. What are they really interested in? What do they know about the company? Did they do any research about what it is you actually do, or are they just there for a paycheck? And these sorts of things are going to get you to understand, everyone has their reasoning for jobs. Some people are in school, some people are, but you definitely don't want to get a candidate in there that has no interest whatsoever. They're there for the money because they're not going to care, and it's going to show. It's going to show in their work.
Yeah, definitely. And if you can, once you have an employee in there, just this is an aside, But if you can do assessments and do kind of, I think doing regular assessments with people and getting their feedback and giving your feedback. I'd love to see a different type of employment, coming on board where people were going to be more part of an organization instead of being employees and could contract with each other to get more benefits out of the work situation. Because I think people want something different from the work situation now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are craving more of a balance. That's really what you're seeing. And people have had enough with getting harassed when they come home from work, and it never stops. It's constantly on your mind there. And if it's not, they're putting it in your mind. No one wants to live like that. Nobody. And it's not right. There needs to be a workplace home life balance, and people need to see that if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and you can't sleep and this is on your mind and you're starting to feel sick going into work, this is not good. This is not good at all.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
No way. Okay, what do you think? Will I fly home now? This is my chair I'm going to take home. I just love this setup that Keith put with the New York picture in the back.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, you and I are talking about all the things we need to start doing, and we'll be doing more of those things that we're learning about, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny to be a content creator.
I know.
With my silly short video the other day that some people did not understand.
When you were doing as if you were drugged, like I am this. Yeah, I thought it was very funny, to be honest with you. I thought it was very funny.
Because you got the joke.
Yeah, I got the joke. I sure did. You have to have fun. That's another thing. You have to have fun. You have to just try and.
Yes. I mean, how many years did you and I not laugh about anything and nothing was funny? Like, you know what I mean? When you can get this back, like you're not getting rid of that. I mean, it took years to get my sense of humor back after years worth of narcs in the office, narc partners, narc friends.
Yeah.
And there still was maintenance recently in the last 6 months. Get out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't tolerate that. Take a hike, and I feel like that's just how it's going to be now. When people aren't on our wavelength, it's all right. You go your way, I'll go mine. Yeah. Oh, real quick, everyone. Seeing as those of you that have been following our workplace series and know that there was the farter in the office, the farter is back, Paula.
No, in the office. I thought she was fired.
So my client thought she was fired too, and she shows up a week later. They suspended her.
Oh my God.
The farter is back, everyone.
Oh my God.
Like you were saying, and it makes me laugh so hard. There's really nothing in the HR book about farting around the office.
No, but I mean, no. I
think for those employers listening to this, you might want to add this into your HR, into your employee handbook.
What would they say to let her come back? Like, you must not fart in the office, or you'll have to, you'll be suspended again. Like, what do you? Well, that's a real tricky one for an employer to have to deal with.
Can you imagine my poor client turning around and there she is, she's back, putting her stuff back in her office space?
No, I think I'd have to leave. I don't bear that.
And the excuse she was using going around the office is that I'm on all this medication. I'm bipolar. I've been diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenia, telling everyone now, all of a sudden now she has all these problems. That's why she farts in the office.
I think I'd be a bit narcissistic, and I think I'd leave a wine cork on her desk or something and say, you might find this useful with your medical problems. Where to put it.
He's going around messing with everybody in the office. I would too.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
this is one of the craziest things I've literally ever heard of. So we'll keep you guys informed about the farter on my channel of what's happening with that. But I thought you all would find that interesting, especially you, Paula.
Oh, I do find things like that very humorous, you know. I don't know if you could maybe laugh at her or something, you know, just trying to give advice to someone like that, or go and do the same beside her or something. I don't know.
What I would be doing, I'd be stacking up on the beans and deviled eggs.
Yeah. How could you prepare for it? You know what I mean? You can't. I mean, she don't do it to order, but not everyone can.
This is a war. You want war, I'll give it to you, right? Oh, too funny. Oh, it's not. I feel so bad for my client, but hopefully the farter blows herself right on out of the office. Let's hope. Oh, well, anyway, this has been fun, Paula. We got to find something else to do together again, because this has been great.
Yeah.
And
I agree. Absolutely great. Okay, Trace, well, thanks very much. And sure, look, thank you for that shout out as well. And I'll be talking to you soon.
yes, Paula, thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye for now.
Tell us what you think in the comments.
Yeah, sure.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.